I used to believe that love was built on trust, like a house with a solid foundation. Now I know better. Sometimes the prettiest houses hide the deepest cracks. My name is Georgia, and 6 months ago, I thought I had it all. A loving husband, a beautiful home in Boston's suburbs, and the kind of comfortable life that made my college friends joke about how I'd won at adulting. Mark and I had been married for 5 years, and every morning started the same way. Him bringing me coffee in bed, kissing my forehead, and asking about my plans for the day. That particular morning seemed no different. "You're going to be late for your meeting," I said, watching Mark fumble with his tie in front of our bedroom mirror. He always struggled with the Windsor knot. "Here, let me." I climbed out of bed, still in my silk pajamas, and fixed his tie with practiced ease. He smelled like that expensive cologne I'd gotten him for Christmas. "What would I do without you?" He pulled me close, his blue eyes crinkling at the corners when he smiled. Probably show up to work looking like a mess. I straightened his collar, admiring how handsome he looked in his tailored suit. Everything changed that evening. I was reviewing some client portfolios at my financial planning firm when Mark called, his voice tight with worry. "Georgia, I need to talk to you about Mom." I sat up straighter in my office chair. "Is everything okay? Can you come home early? It's serious." The drive home felt endless. When I arrived, Mark was pacing our living room, running his hands through his dark hair, something he only did when truly stressed. "Mom needs surgery," he blurted out before I could even set down my purse. "It's her heart. The doctors say it's urgent and her insurance won't cover all of it." "How much?" I asked, my stomach already nodding. 200,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. That's our entire savings. The money we were saving for the house down payment." I know. Mark's voice cracked. "But it's my mom, Georgia. She raised me alone after Dad died. I can't just—" I reached for his hand. "Hey, look at me. We'll figure this out. Family comes first, right?" He pulled me into a tight hug. "I love you so much. I'll pay you back every penny, I promise." Looking back, I should have noticed the signs. The way he avoided eye contact when discussing the hospital details. How he kept changing the subject when I asked about visiting Susan. The mysterious phone calls he'd take outside. But love makes you blind, doesn't it? 2 weeks after we transferred the money, I was having lunch with my friend Zariah at our usual spot near my office. "How's Susan doing?" she asked, stirring her iced tea. "The surgery must have been scary." "She's recovering," I said, picking at my salad. "Mark says she needs rest, so we're giving her space." Zariah's perfectly shaped eyebrows drew together. "That's weird. I could have sworn I saw her comment on Lisa's Instagram post yesterday. Something about spa recommendations." "What?" My fork clattered against the plate. "Yeah, she was asking about that new luxury resort that opened in the Berkshires. The one with the $1,000 a night rooms?" My hands felt cold suddenly. Are you sure it was her? Unless there's another Susan Blake who posts photos of herself in designer clothes and calls Mark my precious boy in every other comment. The room seemed to tilt sideways. I pulled out my phone, fingers trembling as I opened Instagram. There it was. Susan's profile public and active. No hospital gowns, no surgery recovery posts. Instead, I found selfies at high-end restaurants, shopping bags from luxury brands, and comments about upcoming spa treatments. "Georgia," Zariah's voice seemed to come from far away. "Are you okay? You've gone pale." I stood up so abruptly my chair scraped against the floor, drawing looks from nearby diners. "I have to go." "What's wrong?" I grabbed my purse, nearly knocking over my water glass. "I need to check something." As I rushed out of the restaurant, my phone buzzed with a text from Mark. "Working late tonight, don't wait up. Love you." Another lie, another crack in our perfect little house. My hands shook as I started my car. The truth was right there, screaming at me from every perfectly filtered photo on Susan's Instagram. There was no surgery, no medical emergency, just my life savings funding my mother-in-law's luxurious lifestyle, while my husband played me for a fool. And I was done being fooled. I sat in my parked car outside our house for nearly an hour, scrolling through Susan's social media feed until my eyes burned. Each swipe revealed another betrayal. Designer handbags, spa treatments, luxury dinners. $200,000 of our money, spent on pampering instead of procedures. My phone rang, making me jump. Zariah's name flashed on the screen. Georgia, you need to see this. Her voice was tight. Susan just posted a story from the Golden Lotus Resort. The what? That new ultra-luxury spa in the Berkshires? Georgia, Mark is tagged in it. My fingers felt numb as I opened Instagram again. There it was, a boomerang of champagne glasses clinking, Mark's hand visible with his distinctive silver watch, the one I'd given him for our anniversary. He told me he was working late, I whispered. That lying piece of... Zariah caught herself. What are you going to do? I watched the boomerang loop again and again. Clink, sparkle, repeat. I'm going to pay them a visit. Want me to come with you? No. I started the car. This is something I need to do alone. At least let me book you a room there. My company has a corporate account. 20 minutes later, I was home throwing clothes into an overnight bag. My hands were steady now, anger replacing shock. I walked into our closet and pulled out the red dress Mark loved, the one I'd worn on our first date. Revenge, I decided, should look good. My phone buzzed with a text from Stefan, my boss. Taking tomorrow off? Everything okay? I hadn't even realized I'd sent him an email requesting leave. Family emergency, I replied. The real kind, not the fake kind that costs $200K. Whatever you need, but Georgia, be careful. In the kitchen, I found the receipt from our money transfer, tucked away in Mark's important documents folder. The same folder that should have contained medical bills, insurance claims, hospital paperwork. Instead, there were only spa brochures and travel magazines. My phone pinged with another Instagram notification. Susan posting again, nothing better than quality time with my boy. Shah blessed na family first luxury life. The timestamp showed it was posted 2 minutes ago. They were still there. I was halfway to the Berkshires when Zariah called again. Your room's confirmed. I got you one with a view of the main pool area. That's where most guests hang out. Thanks, I owe you. You don't owe me anything. But please record whatever goes down. For legal purposes, of course. Of course. A hint of a smile touched my lips for the first time that day. The Golden Lotus Resort rose from the countryside like a modern castle, all glass and sleek lines. The valet took my car with a practiced smile, probably wondering why I looked ready to commit murder in a cocktail dress. At the front desk, a polished young woman named Amy checked me in. Will you be joining us for the sunset yoga session? She asked, handing me my key card. Actually, I leaned in conspiratorially. I heard Susan Blake is staying here. We're old friends, and I'd love to surprise her. Amy's professional smile flickered. Oh yes, Mrs. Blake. She's been quite memorable. She and her son are usually at the infinity pool this time of day. Perfect. My room was on the 4th floor with a clear view of the pool area just as Zariah promised. I stood at the window, scanning the crowd of wealthy loungers until I spotted them. Susan, holding court in a cabana, wearing what looked like a new designer swimsuit. And Mark, my faithful husband who was working late, lounging beside her with a drink in his hand. I watched them laugh together, my hands gripping the window frame until my knuckles turned white. All those nights I'd eaten dinner alone, believing he was at the office. All those times I'd defended him to my friends when he missed their parties. All those dreams we'd planned together, now drowning in that infinity pool. My phone buzzed, a text from Mark. Stuck in meetings, miss you. I took a deep breath and opened my suitcase. The red dress came out first, followed by my makeup bag. If I was going to blow up my marriage, I was going to do it looking absolutely fantastic. In the bathroom mirror, I practiced my smile, the kind that promises consequences. Hello, darling, I whispered to my reflection. Surprise. My hands were steady as I applied my lipstick, the same shade of red as my dress, the same shade as the rage burning through my veins. Time to crash their little party. The infinity pool sparkled in the late afternoon sun as I made my way across the deck. Guests lounged on $1,000 chairs, sipping $100 cocktails, living their best lives. In her cabana, Susan was holding court like a queen, wearing oversized sunglasses that probably cost more than my car payment. My heels clicked against the marble tiles. Click, 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 a countdown to destruction. And then I told the massage therapist, Susan was saying, that if she couldn't handle my requests, I'd speak to management about, "Hello, darling." I stepped into the shade of their cabana. Surprise. Mark choked on his drink. "Georgia? What are you doing here?" I smiled, all teeth. "Well, when I heard about this amazing resort, I just had to see it for myself, especially after that generous donation we made to your mother's medical care." Susan pushed her sunglasses up onto her forehead. "Georgia, dear, what a pleasant surprise, isn't it?" I perched on the edge of a lounger, crossing my legs slowly. "I have to say, Susan, you look remarkable for someone who just had heart surgery. What was it, 2 weeks ago?" The color drained from Mark's face. "Honey, let me explain." "Oh, please do." I pulled out my phone. "Explain how your mother needed emergency surgery, but somehow managed to post 15 poolside selfies last week. Explain how our life savings went to medical bills, yet here she is wearing a $5,000 swimsuit." A couple in the next cabana stopped their conversation to listen. "This is hardly the place," Mark started. "Actually, this is exactly the place." I stood up, my voice carrying across the pool deck. "This is where our money went, isn't it? Not to life-saving surgery, but to life-living luxury. How much was this cabana, Mark? 1,000 a day? 2? Susan sat up straighter, her perfectly manicured hands gripping her champagne glass. "Now see here." "No, you see here." I pulled up the bank transfer receipt on my phone. $200,000, our entire savings. Money we spent 5 years putting aside for our future, for the family we planned to start. More people were watching now. A woman nearby was not so subtly recording with her phone. "I needed that money," Susan snapped, dropping her socialite act. "Do you know how hard it is to maintain my lifestyle?" Mark understands. He knows what his mother deserves. "Mom, please." Mark reached for her arm. "What you deserve?" I laughed, the sound sharp as broken glass. "What about what your son deserves? What about his dreams, his future? I gave him everything." Susan's voice rose. "I raised him alone. I sacrificed—" "You sacrificed nothing." I cut her off. "And now you're making him sacrifice everything. His marriage, his integrity, his—" "Georgia, stop." Mark stood up, reaching for me. "Let's talk about this privately." I stepped back. "Like how you privately discussed spending our savings with your mother. Like how you privately decided to lie to your wife for weeks." A small crowd had gathered now. I recognized some faces from Mark's social media. Business associates, country club friends, people whose opinion he valued more than his own conscience. "You don't understand," he pleaded. Your mother needed a reality check, not a blank check." I turned to address our audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Mark. Loving son, terrible husband, excellent liar. And Susan, the mother who never learned the difference between loving her child and destroying him." Susan stood up so fast her champagne sloshed over the glass. "How dare you? Mark, are you going to let her speak to me this way?" But Mark just stood there looking lost between his mother and his wife, between his past and what should have been his future. "You know what the worst part is?" I stepped closer to him, close enough to smell that familiar cologne. "I would have helped your mother if she really needed it. I would have found a way. But you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. You chose lies over love." "Georgia, please." His voice cracked. "I packed a bag before I came here." I reached into my purse and pulled out my house key. "You can keep the house. After all, you'll need somewhere to live when your mother's spending catches up with her." I dropped the key in his champagne glass. It sank to the bottom with a soft clink. "Goodbye, Mark. I hope the view from this infinity pool was worth our infinity." As I walked away, head high in my red dress, I heard Susan's shrill voice. "Mark, don't just stand there. Do something." But there was nothing left to do. The truth was out, sparkling in the sunlight like the surface of that beautiful, expensive pool, and sometimes the truth is the best revenge of all. Behind me, someone started clapping. I made it halfway across the pool deck before Mark caught up with me, his bare feet slapping against the marble tiles. "Georgia, wait!" He grabbed my arm. "You're making a scene." "Making a scene?" I yanked my arm free. "You stole our future, and you're worried about a scene?" More phones were out now, recording. A woman in designer sunglasses whispered to her companion, "Isn't that Mark from the country club board?" "I can explain everything," he said, lowering his voice. "Mom's been struggling since Dad died. She needed help maintaining her lifestyle." "Maintaining her lifestyle?" I laughed. "Do you hear yourself?" Susan appeared behind him, clutching her silk cover-up around her shoulders like armor. "This is all a misunderstanding, dear. Mark was simply helping me through a difficult time." "A difficult time?" I pulled up her Instagram feed. "Here's you at the Ritz last week, and here's your new Hermes bag. Oh, and my personal favorite, you getting a gold facial while my savings paid for it. Those treatments are necessary for my well-being," Susan sniffed. "Mark understands that." "Your well-being?" I turned to the growing crowd. "Did you all hear that? $200,000 for her well-being. Not for heart surgery, not for medical bills, for facials and handbags." A man in expensive swim trunks cleared his throat. "Mark, isn't that the money you said you needed for your mother's emergency operation, when you asked to delay your contribution to the club's charity fund?" Mark's face went pale. "Richard, I can explain—" "Oh, this is getting better by the minute," I said. "So you didn't just lie to me, you lied to everyone." Susan stepped forward, her perfectly painted face twisted with anger. "Now, see here, you ungrateful little—" "Ungrateful?" I cut her off. "For what? For watching you spend my life savings? For believing my husband when he said his mother was dying?" "I never said she was dying," Mark protested weakly. "No, you just implied it while you watched me empty our account. While you watched me cancel our plans for a family, for a home, for everything we dreamed about." A woman near the bar spoke up. "Susan, didn't you just book the presidential suite for next month's spa retreat?" Susan's face flushed. "That's none of your business, Patricia." "Actually," Patricia continued, "I believe you invited half the club ladies. Said Mark had given you a special gift to celebrate your— what was it? Oh yes, your miraculous recovery." The whispers grew louder. Mark looked like he might be sick. "Mom," he said, "tell me you didn't." "Of course I did." Susan's voice rose hysterically. "I deserve to celebrate. After everything I've been through, raising you alone." "Stop!" Mark's voice cracked. "Just stop." "But darling, you told me you needed help with medical bills. You showed me fake documents. You made me lie to my wife, to my friends, to everyone." Susan's face hardened. "I needed that money more than she did, more than your little house fund. I'm your mother." "And I'm his wife," I stepped closer to her. "Or at least I was, until you decided your spa treatments were more important than your son's marriage. He chose to help me." Susan jabbed a finger at my chest. "He knows where his loyalty should lie." "Mom!" Mark grabbed her hand. "That's enough." But Susan was on a roll now, her voice carrying across the silent pool deck. "You think you can turn him against me? I made him everything he is. Without me, he'd be nothing. You deserve to be arrested for fraud," a new voice cut in. We all turned to see Richard, the club member, hanging up his phone. "I've just spoken to my lawyer. Using false medical documents to obtain money? That's a criminal offense." Susan's face went from red to white. "You wouldn't dare." "Actually," I pulled out my phone, "I have copies of everything. The fake medical bills, the bank transfers, the Instagram posts proving where the money really went. I'm sure the police would find it fascinating." "Mark!" Susan turned to her son. "Tell them they can't do this." But Mark just stood there looking at his mother like he was seeing her for the first time. "How could you?" he whispered. "How could you make me do this?" "Because she knew you would," I said softly. "Because she knew you'd never say no to her, no matter who it hurt, even yourself." The silence around the pool was deafening. Susan looked from face to face, finding no allies among her society friends. Even her son couldn't meet her eyes. Finally, she straightened her shoulders. adjusted her designer sunglasses, and said in a voice dripping with venom, "Well, I hope you're all happy. You've ruined everything." As she stormed off toward the resort, her silk cover-up fluttering behind her like a surrender flag, I heard someone mutter, "No, Susan, you did that all by yourself." The aftermath of Susan's exit felt like the calm after a storm. People began to drift away from the pool area, their whispers following them like ripples in the water. Mark stood frozen, still staring after his mother. "Georgia," he finally said, his voice hollow, "I never meant—" "Save it." I held up my hand. "You meant every bit of it. You just never meant to get caught." Richard, the club member, cleared his throat. "Mark, I think we need to discuss your position on the board. This kind of scandal—" "Scandal?" A sharp laugh cut through the air. Patricia from the bar was back, phone in hand. "It's already trending on local social media. Spa scam is picking up steam." Mark's face crumpled. "Please, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," Patricia continued, scrolling through her phone. "Your mother's been bragging about her luxury lifestyle in our group chat for weeks, always talking about how her devoted son makes it all possible. Guess we know where the money came from now." More club members gathered around, their previous deference to Mark evaporating like pool water in the sun. "Didn't you just join that new private equity firm?" someone asked. "The one that handles trust funds?" "I wonder if they know about your creative financing," another added. Mark's phone started buzzing incessantly. He pulled it out, his hands shaking. "My partners are calling." "Better answer it," I said. "I'm sure they'd love to hear how you handle other people's money." He looked at me pleadingly. "Georgia, please, we can fix this. I'll get the money back." "How?" I stepped closer. "By stealing from someone else? By finding another lie to tell? I'll sell my car, my watches." "Your mother's new handbags?" I suggested sweetly. "Her spa memberships?" Richard's phone chimed. He glanced at it and winced. "Mark, the club president wants an emergency meeting. Tomorrow morning." "I can't," Mark said desperately. "I have a client meeting." "Had a client meeting," Patricia corrected, still scrolling. "According to Twitter, your firm's managing partner is re-evaluating all current relationships." That was posted 2 minutes ago. The color drained from Mark's face. His phone buzzed again, this time with a text. I caught a glimpse of the screen. It was Susan. "Mother needs you?" I asked, my voice dripping with fake concern. He opened the message, then let out a bitter laugh. "She wants to know if I can book her a car service. The resort staff is being difficult about her room charges." Shocking. I adjusted my purse strap. "Well, I'm sure you'll figure something out. You always do, right? For Mom?" "Georgia." He reached for me again, but I stepped back. "Don't." My voice was steady now. "Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't try to explain. Just don't. But I love you." "No." I shook my head. "You love the idea of me, the supportive wife who never questioned you, the woman who trusted you enough to hand over her future. That person's gone now." More phones were chiming around the pool. The story was spreading faster than wildfire in a drought. "Your mother's trending," Patricia announced. Someone dug up her social media history, all those posts about her medical treatments next to pictures of her shopping sprees. Not a good look. Mark's phone buzzed yet again. This time when he looked at it, he actually swayed on his feet. "The firm," he whispered. They're suspending me. Pending investigation." "Well," I said, smoothing down my red dress, "I guess karma doesn't need an infinity pool to make a splash." A few people actually applauded at that. Mark looked around wildly, seeing nothing but judgment and camera phones where there used to be respect and admiration. "What am I supposed to do now?" he asked, his voice small. "I don't know," I replied honestly. "Maybe ask your mother. She seems to have all the answers, except how to pay her own bills." I turned to leave, but stopped after a few steps. Looking back over my shoulder, I delivered one final blow. "You know what's funny? If you'd just been honest from the start, I would have helped. We could have found a way to support your mother that didn't involve fraud. But you chose lies over love. And now?" I gestured at the crowd of former friends recording his downfall. Now you get to live with that choice, in public. As I walked away, head high in my red dress, I heard Patricia say, "Oh, look, Mark's messy mother is trending now, too." The last thing I saw before entering the resort was Mark, standing alone by the infinity pool, watching his carefully constructed life dissolve into nothing, just like our savings, just like our marriage, just like his mother's fake medical emergency. Sometimes karma doesn't just come around. Sometimes it comes with receipts. The drive home from the Berkshires felt surreal. My phone kept buzzing with notifications, messages from friends who'd seen the viral videos, news alerts about Mark's firm launching an investigation, and endless texts from Zariah demanding details. I ignored them all until I saw Stefan's name pop up. "Are you okay?" his message read. "Just saw what happened. The videos are everywhere." I pulled into a rest stop and called him. "I'm fine," I said when he answered. "Well, not fine, but—" "Come to the office," he said. "We need to talk about your finances." "Stefan, it's almost 8. I'm still here, and you shouldn't be alone right now." 40 minutes later, I was sitting in his office, still wearing my red dress, while he poured us both a drink. "So," he said, handing me a glass of whiskey, "want to tell me how my best financial planner missed the signs of fraud in her own account?" "Because I trusted him." I took a long sip. "Stupid, right?" "Human." He sat on the edge of his desk. "But now we need to be strategic. I've already called my friend at the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit." I nearly choked on my drink. "The FBI?" "Georgia, they used fake medical documents to commit fraud. That's federal territory." He pulled out a file. "And I've been doing some digging. Your mother-in-law has a history of this." He spread out papers across his desk, credit card statements, loan applications, bank records. 3 ex-husbands, he said, pointing to different documents. Each one mysteriously emptied their accounts before the divorce. And look at this. 2 years ago, she convinced her brother to mortgage his house for her cancer treatments. Let me guess. She didn't have cancer. She had a spa membership in Switzerland. He shook his head. The brother lost his house. My phone buzzed again. Mark's face appeared on the screen. "Don't answer," Stefan said. "Let everything go through lawyers from now on." "I don't have a lawyer." "Yes, you do." He handed me a business card. "Maria's the best divorce attorney in Boston. She's expecting your call tomorrow." I stared at the card, reality finally hitting me. "I'm getting divorced." "You're getting justice," he corrected. "And your money back if I have anything to say about it." My phone lit up with another notification. Zariah had sent a link to a news article. "Financial firm suspends executive amid fraud allegations." "It's all falling apart for him," I whispered. "Good." Stefan's voice was hard. "He deserves it. Both of them do." A knock at the office door made us both jump. It was the night security guard. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's a woman in the lobby insisting on seeing Miss Georgia. Says she's her mother-in-law. Susan's here?" I stood up so fast I almost spilled my drink. "Want me to send her away?" the guard asked. I looked at Stefan, who nodded slightly. "No," I said. "Send her up." 5 minutes later, Susan swept into the office. Her designer outfit was wrinkled, her makeup smeared. "Well," she said, dropping into a chair uninvited, "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed my son's life." "Pretty sure you did that yourself," Stefan said, moving to stand beside me. "And who are you?" she snapped. "Someone who's already reported you to the FBI." Susan's face went pale. The FBI? Wire fraud, medical documentation fraud, interstate conspiracy." He ticked off points on his fingers. "Should I continue?" "This is ridiculous." She turned to me. "Georgia, you can't let them do this. Think about Mark." "I am thinking about Mark," I said quietly. "I'm thinking about how you trained him to destroy his life to fund yours." "I gave him everything." "You took everything," I corrected. "And now you've lost everything." She stood up, straightening her Gucci blazer. "This isn't over." "Actually," Stefan held up his phone, "it is. The FBI just confirmed they're opening an investigation. I'd stay in town if I were you." Susan's composure finally cracked. "You don't understand. I need that lifestyle. I deserve—" "Get out," I said, my voice steady. "Get out before I call security again." She opened her mouth to argue, then seemed to deflate. Without another word, she turned and left, her designer heels clicking away down the hallway. "You okay?" Stefan asked softly. I looked at him, at the scattered evidence of Susan's lifetime of fraud, at my wedding ring still gleaming on my finger. "No," I said, slipping off the ring, "but I will be." The ring made a satisfying ping as it landed in the trash can. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of lawyers, FBI interviews, and viral videos. I'd moved in with Zariah temporarily, sleeping on her couch while my life reorganized itself into something recognizable. "Look at this," Zariah said one morning, sliding her tablet across the breakfast table. "Mark's firm officially fired him." I scanned the press release. Words like breach of trust and ethical violations jumped out at me. "That's not all," she continued, scrolling through her phone. "The country club revoked his membership, and 3 charity boards asked for his resignation." "What about Susan?" "Oh, that's the best part. The FBI found evidence of at least 6 other fraud schemes. Turns out your mother-in-law's been scamming people for decades." My phone buzzed. Maria, my divorce attorney. "Georgia," she said when I answered, "we've received an interesting proposal from Mark's lawyer. He wants to meet. Says he has something important to discuss." An hour later, I sat in Maria's office, watching Mark fidget in the chair across from me. He looked terrible, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled suit that used to fit better. "Thank you for meeting me," he said quietly. "Make it quick," Maria replied, her pen poised over her legal pad. Mark pulled out a folder. "I'm signing over everything. The house, the cars, my personal accounts, what's left of them. And this." He slid a check across the table. I looked at the amount and felt my breath catch. "This is $200,000, he finished, plus interest. I sold my watches, my golf club membership, everything of value. Mom's going to prison, Georgia. I can't change that, but I can try to fix what I did to you." "Mark, please," he held up his hand. "Let me finish. I've been in therapy this past week. Turns out being a pathological mama's boy isn't actually normal." He attempted a weak smile. "I destroyed something precious because I never learned to say no to her. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to have back what I stole." Maria examined the check. "This appears legitimate. We can have it verified within the hour." "It's real," Mark said. "It's all I have left, actually. Well, that and a bunch of viral videos of my public disgrace." "Those videos saved other people from being scammed," I said. "The FBI found 3 more families your mother was targeting." He winced. "I know. They interviewed me yesterday. I told them everything." He stood up slowly. "I'm moving to Seattle next week. Fresh start, entry-level position at a small firm. No trust funds or society connections this time. Just honest work." "Good," I said, surprising myself by meaning it. He paused at the door. "I really did love you, Georgia. I just loved my mother's approval more. I'm sorry it took losing everything to figure that out." After he left, Maria looked at me over her glasses. "Well, that was unexpected." "Is it wrong that I feel sorry for him?" "No," she said, starting to draw up the papers. "But it's better that you feel sorry for him from a distance." That evening, I met Stefan for dinner at a quiet restaurant downtown. He'd been my rock through everything, helping the FBI build their case, connecting me with financial advisors to protect my restored savings. "Mark gave back the money," I told him as we settled into our booth. "I know." He smiled. "I may have suggested to his new employer that restitution would look good on his record." "You found him the Seattle job?" "Everyone deserves a chance to rebuild," he said, then quickly added, "as long as that rebuilding happens 3,000 miles away from you." I laughed for what felt like the first time in weeks. "Thank you for everything." "Speaking of rebuilding," he slid a folder across the table. "The senior partner position is yours if you want it. The board was impressed with how you handled your own financial crisis. Said it showed integrity." "Stefan, just think about it," he said softly. "You're stronger than you know, Georgia. You turned a betrayal into justice, not just for yourself, but for others. That's the kind of leader we need." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Susan's face filled the screen, her mugshot this time, not a spa selfie. Federal charges filed in multi-state fraud case, the headline read. Socialite faces up to 20 years. Karma really does come for everyone, I murmured. Sometimes it just needs a little help, Stefan replied, raising his glass. To new beginnings? I clinked my glass against his, feeling something warm and hopeful unfurl in my chest. To new beginnings. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I truly believed in those words. The morning of Susan's sentencing, I sat in the federal courthouse, watching her world finally crumble. Gone were the designer clothes and spa-perfected skin. In their place was a woman in a plain gray suit, her roots showing through her expensive dye job. 15 years, Zaraya whispered beside me as the judge read the sentence, plus full restitution to all victims. Susan turned to scan the courtroom, her eyes landing on me. For a moment, I saw the manipulative woman who'd destroyed her son's life to fund her own. Then her shoulders slumped, and she was just another convicted fraudster being led away in handcuffs. Outside the courthouse, reporters clustered with their microphones. Ms. Georgia, how does it feel knowing your viral video led to uncovering decades of fraud? Do you have any comment about your ex-husband's new life in Seattle? I stepped up to the microphones, feeling Stefan's supportive presence behind me. The only comment I have is this. Trust should be earned, not exploited. My ex-mother-in-law didn't just steal money, she stole people's faith in their loved ones. That's the real crime here. Back at the office, my new corner office as senior partner, I found a package waiting on my desk. The return address was Seattle. Inside was a letter from Mark and a stack of cashier's checks. Georgia, the letter read, these are for the other families my mother hurt. I've been working extra jobs to help make things right. My therapist says I can't fix the past, but I can choose who I am now. Thank you for showing me what real integrity looks like. Mark. That's unexpected, Stefan said from my doorway. People can surprise you. I looked up at him. Sometimes in good ways. He stepped into the office, closing the door. Speaking of surprises, remember that fraud prevention program you proposed? The one for helping families spot financial abuse? What about it? The board approved it, full funding. He grinned. They want you to lead it. Really? You're the perfect choice. Who better to teach people about financial manipulation than someone who exposed one of Boston's biggest fraud cases? My phone buzzed. A text from Zaraya with a link. OMG, look at this. It was a video of Susan's old social media posts, edited together with clips from her trial. The caption read, From spa days to prison days, how one woman's luxury lifestyle was built on lies. It had over 1 million views. Still trending, Stefan noted, looking over my shoulder. Your story really struck a nerve. It wasn't just my story. It was everyone's story who ever trusted the wrong person. I stood up, moving to the window. You know what the weird thing is? I'm actually grateful it happened. Grateful? It taught me what I'm capable of, standing up for myself, helping others, building something new. I turned to face him. Speaking of which, would you like to get dinner tonight? Not as colleagues this time. His smile lit up his whole face. I thought you'd never ask. That evening, over dinner at a small Italian restaurant, my phone buzzed one last time. It was an email from one of Susan's other victims, the brother who'd lost his house. Thank you, it read. Because of your testimony and the restitution order, I'm getting my home back. My kids will have their rooms again. You didn't just expose a fraud, you gave us back our future. I showed the email to Stefan. See, he said softly. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. To getting better, I raised my glass. And to the woman who turned a betrayal into a blessing for others, he added. As our glasses clinked, I thought about trust and truth, about karma and consequences. I thought about the woman I was when this all started, believing in a perfect life built on lies. That woman was gone, replaced by someone stronger, wiser, and surprisingly happier. My phone buzzed again. Another victim thanking me for coming forward, then another, and another. You've started a movement, Stefan observed. People are finally talking about financial abuse within families. Good, I said, because that's how we prevent the next Susan. That's how we protect the next family. And what about protecting your own happiness? He asked, reaching across the table to take my hand. I looked at our intertwined fingers, at the space where my wedding ring used to be. That space didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like possibility. I think, I smiled, squeezing his hand, I'm already doing that. Sometimes the deepest wounds lead us to our greatest strength. Sometimes betrayal leads us to our truest path. And sometimes, when we're brave enough to face the truth, we find something better than the lies we once believed in. We find ourselves.